think you do.
Yep.
Hey, everybody! My hair's a mess. Hey.
Sorry, I should have asked you about that before I hit record.
That's all right. I'm vain, and I get it. Hey. Oh, we had a show last night.
We did. Oh my gosh, it caught me completely by surprise. I thought we were out 2 weeks, not just one.
Yes, and we got an Easter bonus, which is great because we kind of need a little bit of love right now. In the middle of the pandemic.
It was a bit of a resurrection story too. So
yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about it. It is that it was a resurrection story for several people. So we are talking Outlander season 5, episode 8, famous last words.
Yeah.
And so, what do you think, Jayme?
Yeah, I liked it. I think I'm gonna need to watch it again, to be honest. I think there's little bits and pieces that I maybe missed, or I lost myself in it, which is a good thing. Like I wasn't sitting there like picking it apart like I have done in some of the episodes. I was shocked by Ian showing up. I was
right?
I was not expecting that.
The boar is already here?
I know. So yeah, I did like it. I'm not quite, there's something, what's the word, unsettled in me about it, and I can't quite put my finger on it. So I think I'm going to need to think about it for a little bit. Was it just that it was too quick? Maybe that's it. Like it didn't last over 2 or 3 episodes with Roger kind of struggling, but do we have that luxury? I think that might be it.
Yeah, he struggles
but I'm gonna need to think about it
in the book. He struggles for many chapters in the book, and I think one of our listeners said that Roger, this happens to Roger somewhere in the middle of the book.
Yeah, that's true.
And then so he spends the rest of the book getting through it, and really trying to come to grips with the loss. And we don't get Ian until much later. And so it was kind of interesting to bring those 2 people back from the dead, literally. And then to bury Myrta.
Oh my gosh, I had forgotten about the Myrta side of things at the beginning.
That whole Jocasta at the cairn was just so beautiful. I love that Marta is buried on the property there, even though he's not buried in hallowed. Even though he's not buried in hallowed ground, he is to us, right? So I get it that they're very particular about that in the books, about being buried on hallowed ground. But the fact that he is there and at the ridge means that Jocasta can visit him, and so can Jayme. And I really loved that aspect of it.
I thought that was good. The idea was like, okay, so Jocasta's come to the ridge basically to say goodbye to Myrta, which makes sense, I guess. But again, the distance that people have to go.
Hop by. I mean, so Lord John
Grey. I was like, he's functioning in this series as if he's the next door neighbor. And so it was kind of like, well, hey, John, how's it going?
Charlotte, this is like a 3-week journey. But he came by with a big load of books.
Just want to check in, see how everybody's doing. We love you.
And to bring an astrolabe. So in the books, a lot of this is handled via letter. And it's not as interesting to handle something via letter than it is to actually have the person there interacting. But I feel kind of bad for Lord John because he is such an important part of the books. And he's just kind of relegated to the
next door neighbor.
The next door neighbor.
next state neighbor.
The spicy gay next door neighbor. Which is not fair.
It's not fair at all.
It's not fair to Lord John. He's an essential part of the books, and he's an essential part because he's Jayme's friend. And has his own arc in the story, which is why he has his own books. He's really vital. So they've really given him the spicy gay neighbor thing, and it's just not my favorite, but He's a means to
I
an
would
end.
rather this than him not at all, though. So
Yes.
if it does come to that, I'm okay with that. But
So
still.
what did you think of the silent picture motif? What did you think about that as a framework?
So when they did that, I was like, whoa, that's really interesting. And then it made me wonder whether or not it was a way in which, well, it worked for me. It worked really well with the repeat, because people with PTSD would often say that they're just kind of, or when it's being described as they're watching a film strip and it's just kind of over and over. So I thought that was a really brilliant way of showing the repeat. But at the beginning, I was wondering, are they doing this because it's just too traumatic to watch? Like, Claire doing the tracheotomy, I was like, oh gosh, wow, we didn't, so maybe as a silent,
larynx, right?
Yeah, exactly. So as a silent movie, maybe it just removes us a little bit from the trauma. So maybe there was a part of that for me. But at the same time, I thought this is really quite creative in how they've decided to do this. So I'm okay with it. What about you?
I actually liked it. I felt like they overplayed it a little bit, but then again, you don't really get to pick and choose.
No.
When your PTSD pops in. So I get the choice there. However, I liked it in the sense that it does remove you. It does remove you from the actual trauma, and then they convert over to reality,
to color and reality.
The color
you
and
realize
reality.
There's something changing here,
right? So you don't have that barrier, that lens through which you're looking anymore. It really is happening to somebody you care about. And I also like the fact that it consistently reminds us that Roger is from another time.
Yeah.
It consistently reminds us that he is thinking this through in a way that nobody else there would be able to.
He is living history. That was the, like at the end, I'm like, he's still seeing himself as living in history rather than living in present day.
Right. And that's, even in 1969, when they went to the silent pictures, they were already 40 years old. So so it's they were old to him then, and now they're future for him, and he's still thinking in this way. So it's interesting the way that they've chosen to frame it through his POV, in the same way they chose to frame some of the trauma from Jayme in a different POV. And the drama for Claire and for Bree in a different POV, and with theirs. And I really like that. I really liked the choice.
I think the strength of the show has always been in how they've dealt with trauma. And so I'm sitting there going, and I've thought this with the books anyway, this isn't anything new. We've talked about this in the podcast episodes, but this is an entire family that is traumatized. Like there are no members of the main family who have not had some kind of serious traumatic experience, most of it rape, but Roger being the exception in this really violent hanging situation. And the way in which they're dealing with it is, everybody understands.
He was beaten to a pulp and kidnapped, and everybody gets that, because everybody has been violated. But I think when it happens to somebody else, it's one thing, but when it happens to you, it becomes something more, something different, something that you don't really want to relate to people on. And that was what was really, to me, what was really true about it, is that he almost died. 3 months later, he's still not dealing with it well. And Bree wants to fix it and say, hey, look, I dealt with it. Why can't you? And Roger's like, I don't want to relate to you in this way. This is not how I'm dealing with it. And so it's an interesting look into the dynamics of how hurt people. And how they ultimately hurt themselves. Particularly with Ian towards the end. And I thought that again was really well done too. With Ian and him coming back, but him not really being there
Yeah.
How Roger came back and he's not really there.
Yeah.
How Bree has forced herself to come back.
Yeah.
And how Jayme came back, but he wasn't fully there for many, many years.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think dealing with Roger and Ian at the same time makes sense, because in the book we got the luxury of being able to, you know, span out that story.
Yeah, I agree.
But within the TV show we can't. It needs to come together, and it's because, well, the issues are similar. It made it easy for them to reflect each other's issues in an interesting way. So yeah, I mean, there was part of me is like, Roger doing this on his own is pretty important, but I think it's also the reintroduction of Ian into the story and the trauma that he's enduring as well. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm okay with this. This makes sense.
And the fact that they were brothers in sacrifice, and we just had this conversation this past weekend when we recorded our podcast about sacrifice, that they're brothers in sacrifice, that one gives up one for the other.
Yeah.
And the fact that he hugs him first before Bree does, before Claire does, before, to me, that was just really powerful.
Yeah.
A powerful moment of, I can't say thank you, but I want to, and maybe it's just that I can't hug anybody right now, but it was just this, that was a beautiful moment. That to me was just, that moment kind of sealed it for me for the episode, that he gets to hug before Bree does.
Yeah.
And he never even talked with the man, you know, he's never really had a conversation with him.
No.
He can't now, but he hugs him.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. What else did you think?
A couple of things that I picked up that I really loved, besides that, one is that the paper airplane, of course they wouldn't know what a paper airplane is, right? And so he throws it, and Ian says, it flies, but it cannot sing. That's a beautiful line. That's extremely well written. And that's Roger's capacity. He can fly in this way. He just can't sing again.
And then his parting words with Bree of, even though I can't sing, I will always sing.
I will always sing for you. I will always sing with you. And then Jayme's words, you're alive, you're whole, all is well. And he was alive. He's not whole, and not all is well. And so I thought that those were, I thought that was really, the writing in this was particularly good.
I didn't even see who wrote this episode.
It was a woman. I can't remember her name.
Okay.
I should have written it down, but I didn't. But
not one of the original writers.
Possibly. I haven't caught up with that, unfortunately. But it was a female writer and a male director. They do this a lot. They switch things up. They'll gender one way and one the other. They'll have a male writer and a female director. They and in that way they keep a good balance, I think.
Right.
And I think that they did here. They kept a very good balance. Cool. The other thing I wanted to mention is tarot. So we've got this whole thing of the tarot cards, and it's brought up in the book because Bree, with the resurgence of spiritualism in the 1960s, it was not unusual for people to pull out tarot cards and play with them. My grandmother bought a deck. We played with them in the 70s. And she, you know,
they were the devil's stuff when I was growing up. So I wasn't allowed to touch them.
And that's the thing. So we had a bizarre balance in my family of me going to church and hearing this is Satan's work and this is, you know, the devil's stuff. And then my grandmother being very much in the Baptist church, but also being very into spirituality. And she had she got faith books. She was way into ghosts. She saw things. She believed in this kind of stuff. So we had this almost, it was almost a difference in, we syncretized our culture to, because it's a very Southern Irish, Scottish culture. We syncretized that part of our culture into our faith. And so I had no issues with having the tarot, but I would go to church and I would never tell anybody. It was kind of like hiding the wine in the back of the closet when the preacher came. You never told them this, right? You never told them that you played with tarot cards because it was Satan. And so I wonder if that's something that Marcelly would have done in the 18th century, or if, you know, reading cards like that was not, especially with her mother being so off the charts
Yeah.
Christian,
Yeah.
whether she would have even done that, or if that was just in the realm of a white woman. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that's something she would have done, but it, you know, it was a means to an end. I get it for the story. I just found it kind of odd because Marcely doesn't normally do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because in the book, it's Bree keeps having this dream, and every time she turns the card over, it's the Hanged Man, and so
And
it
it's her
made me
friends in
want.
college who had the tarot cards.
Exactly. So that part of the story is Bree's part of the story in the books, and so would she? What's the other way to do it? Like she's having a conversation with Claire, so she's sitting there with the tarot cards, and every time she turns it over, it's just not quite the same.
Nope. And
carries
it's never
the same impact.
No, and it's never interesting to hear somebody talk about something. It's always much more interesting to see it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. You can talk about it. They could have had a flashback.
Yeah.
But the flashback would have been hers and not Roger's, and this was Roger and
this
Ian's
is Roger's
story.
point of view, definitely.
This is Roger's story.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay. So in the context of that, I was thinking, so Bree's lost that part of the story that's in the book. The other part is the conversation with Ian on the steps. That to me was a Bree conversation rather than a Marcely conversation.
Yeah, I agree.
And so while I love Marcely and I love what they're doing with her, and I love that she's she's a much more integral kind of part of the story in the TV series, but the connection between Ian and Bree she just didn't get it in this episode, and he's come back, so like she wasn't the first one to get to hug him. Great, we're fine with that, but she also didn't sit there and have a chat with him, and yeah, so I'm hoping next episode. And then that's the other thing too. So my unsettlement, I think, around so Roger was speaking almost clearly by the end of the episode. It was like,
he speaks a lot in the book.
So this is going quite quickly. It was kind of 3 months later. Holy shit! Like, there's a lot that's happened and a lot that hasn't happened, but it's the not happening that's the drama. And so it was kind of I hope that this continues to have a legacy over the next few episodes. And so
it looks like the next episode is going to be the snake bite.
Seriously.
It looks that way.
I haven't seen any previews, so I have no idea. Okay.
Oh, it looks like it might be.
Might be snake
it looks
bite.
like they're setting it up for Jayme to be ill, it looks like. And Claire is scared. And so there's some good previews on that.
So Jamie's words of all is well, you were whole, might come back to haunt him. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, okay. Interesting. We'll see.
I'm wondering, is that what Claire says to him when she rescues him? Does she say something like that when she rescues him from prison?
From Wentworth?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't know. Have to go back and look.
Because
I wonder.
That echoes familiar to me, of him lying in the back of the heart, and her making sure, and him waking up a bit, and all is not well. He is not whole. So
so even somebody who's been through that to say that in hope,
in conviction, and convincing, trying to urge him along.
Name it, claim it. I don't know. I need to go back and look at that. I'm sure somebody will comment below and tell us if that's true. But we'll look as well.
Super.
Anything else?
I have nothing else. How about you?
No. Except just kind of the arbitrariness of Tryon. Just pick 3. He didn't care.
I love that they held that.
Collateral damage. Yeah.
Yep. I love that they kept that, because that is in the book. Tryon did do that. Yeah. And yes, it was Roger's ancestor. And yes, he just went, pick 3. Yeah. We just need to make an example. Yeah. And I was just like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious what we're going to get of Buckley later. yeah, what's going to happen.
I am
with all
looking
that.
forward to Buckley later. Now that it is Graham McTavish, I am really looking forward to Buckley, and I'm hoping that they continue on beyond season 5. They're supposed to continue on beyond season 6, and so fingers are crossed that they will continue this.
Yeah, cool. Right, well,
all right.
See you next week.
All right, you too.
Bye, guys.
Bye.